So, good afternoon, everyone. As Andrew said, my name is Qasim. I'm the chief exec of a group of companies called the WOW Group of Companies. And in this particular session, we're going to look at how to make your business digitally fit. Only a few weeks ago, we would have been having sessions like this, but now this has become the new norm. And in fact, it has become the norm. And I think more and more, so people are pivoting into the digital space. Businesses that were traditional kind of face-to-face businesses are now have been, what I would say, interrupted, disrupted, and now having to digitally transform into using online tools and online facilities. Just to give you a little overview of what we're going to be covering today, I'm just going to cover a little bit about ourselves and just touch upon some of the experience that we have and myself. I'll talk about the digital landscape and some statistics, some compelling statistics that we have that have just come out over the last couple of months with what's happened with the backdrop of coronavirus and COVID-19. And then I'll start going into some of the things that we do as a business, first and foremost, when we engage with our clients. And these are the things that you can do right now in your business to see if you're digitally fit and how you can improve to give you the maximum opportunity to take advantage of some of the things that are happening right now. So for the next 20 minutes, we're going to be covering some stuff around, if I just go back, Google speed, why speed is important, why mobile responsiveness is important, some things around SEO, some stuff around social media, and measuring all the things that you do within your business. And then we'll finish off, and then we've got a little offer for the people that have attended this webinar today and some of the chamber members as well. So just to give you a little bit of background to us, we're a WOW Group of companies, and we have four brands within our business. We have WOW, which is predominantly looks after building e-commerce and transactional-based websites, some huge websites that we've worked on over the years. You can see the brands there. Rawjam is a business that we bought three and a half years ago in London, and that specializes in developing apps and large-scale web applications. Nearly There is a content agency that specializes in the hospitality and leisure industry, and you'd think that that business has suffered, and actually it's actually flying right now because some of the content stories that some of the brands that are putting out there are engaging with Nearly There in that business. And then we have a small little IT support company that looks after businesses up to 20 employees. It's a business that we're looking to grow over the next 2 years. A little bit about myself. That's me pre-lockdown. As you can see, I'm clean shaven, and right now I'm kind of donning the Robinson Crusoe look. But it's my lockdown thing. When we're out of lockdown, I'll have a shave. So yeah, I mean, in terms of myself, I've been in the industry for now 20 years. Please connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I regularly post things out around business, about what's happening within the Birmingham community and what's happening in the digital space. And I've been quoted in many, many different reputable organizations. And one of the proudest things that right now I'm the president of the Asian Business Chamber of Commerce, which is part of the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce as well. So that's a little bit about me, but please feel free to connect with me after this webinar. As you probably well know, there's many, many, many digital platforms out there. And I think that a lot of people, and particularly our customers, they talk about digital overwhelm, where there's so many different platforms that they should be using. Their websites, you've got Twitter, you've got Facebook, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Instagram. Which platforms do you choose, and which things do you look at first? And this presentation is really about the simple things that you need to have in place that will make you digitally fit moving forward. What I would always advise people is, first of all, is look at the platforms that are accessible to you and where your audience resides. But the last bastion of any digital platform is your website. It should start and finish at your website, and that's the most important thing. And the reason for that is that your website is the only thing that you can control. Everything else, other than your email database, which is more and more become more and more important right now, is to own your email database. Your website and your email database are the only things that you can control and have control over. Everything else, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all these things are controlled by third parties. So ownership right now is hugely important. So what happens when you as a business come to us? These are the steps that we would take in terms of seeing where you are currently and where you can improve. So the first thing that before I go into that, I'm just going to go into some statistics. And these statistics were put together, and we've written about these stats just recently, and they're quite compelling. And these statistics of what's happened over the last few weeks with the coronavirus pandemic. So 60%, that's 3 in 5 people, have purchased more goods because of the pandemic. So we've seen this real spike in people purchasing online, and 53% have shopped more using more online platforms than they have ever before. What's compelling is that 77% would do more so after the lockdown, which tells us that really buying habits are going to change permanently when we come out of this particular scenario that we're in. And I'm one of these. 39% have been persuaded to purchase goods online that they never would have purchased before. And typically that we're seeing is more and more. In fact, we've just had a delivery right now in my house, and the chaps just left. We've had a food delivery from Tesco's. So this is happening more and more now, and obviously this has been a backdrop, and this tells us that behavior will change when we come out of this. And the last thing, I think, is really important. Doing the right thing right now is hugely important. And 52% of the people that were surveyed said that they will have greater loyalty with the brands that have shown purpose over profit. And it's been widely reported right now, some of the brands that we thought that were really kind of loyal to their people and their customers are doing the wrong thing. So really important for right now for you to do the right thing, standing by your customers, and also really, really important to stand by your employees. That message is getting out and people are reading those messages. And that to me was really, really compelling, that statistic. So the first thing that we always look at when someone comes to us saying, we need to have a look at our website, is to look at speed. And I'm going to spend some time just talking a little bit about speed and why speed is important. These 4 things that I've mentioned there. Speed is all about experience. Google looks at your website experience. What experience are you giving to their customers? So we are Google's customers. We are the people that use Google, and Google will say, does your website give me, my stakeholders, my customers, a good experience? So speed equals experience, speed equals convenience, speed equals conversion, and has an impact on ranking. One thing that we must do is not confuse speed, page speed, with site speed. And page speed can be described as the load time of your page, and how long it takes for your website to load. And it's this thing called first time byte. So when the first byte of your page starts loading, that's where Google starts to measure how quickly your speed is. And there's some tools. So if you quickly Google, after this meeting, Google's page speed, you can then pop in your website and it will tell you what your speed is on mobile and desktop. So it's really important to make sure that your speed is important on your website. So what are the best practices of having speed? Well, one of the things that slows websites down is image size. So make sure that your image size is conducive to what web format is asking for. So just a few days ago, we were working on a website. It was about 4 MBs. We've now reduced that down to 2 MBs, and the speed is up in the 90s. Anything above 85 on the Google speed test, because it measures out of 100, is really good. And typically what we find is that desktop speed is on average a lot higher than mobile speed. It's important to have mobile speed now, and I'll come on to a slide next about mobile speed and why mobile speed is so important. Speed is also has a factor in terms of your server and where you host your website. So it's important to make sure that your website, particularly if you're getting lots and lots of traffic, that your server is configured and put together in the right kind of way. So you can then start providing availability to the people that come to your website. So we have many customers that will have concurrent users in their hundreds, if not their thousands, at any one time. So availability is really important. So what we've done for those guys is we've put a solution together, which is around Amazon Web Services, which provides this thing called elastic load balancing. So as and when traffic increases, the server will increase to that capacity, and they will only be charged during those peak times and peak intervals of traffic. So speed is hugely important, and it can be a ranking factor for your website. Now, typically, you're looking for a speed of around about 3 seconds for your website to provide a response. If you have a WordPress website, which I know many do, it's important to make sure that your plugins are up to date where possible, but also that you have a minimal of plugins, because plugins can slow the speed down of your website. So speed is the first thing that you should be looking at when it comes to looking at the health of your website. As we know, over the last since 2014, mobile responses has become really important. There's a tool that Google use called mobile responsive. So if you put in Google mobile responsive, what you'll get is a utility will tell you that how good or whether or not your website is mobile responsive. Now, mobile responsive is all about giving users the experience on mobile, and particularly with the advent of 5G and 4G, you've seen lots of mobile devices providing rich content. And actually, we live in what I would call a mobile responsive first world. You know, we're multi-devicing. We'll be watching TV. We'll be on the iPad. We'll be using our mobile phones to watch films, to look at content, to go on social media platforms. So it's hugely important that your website is mobile responsive. We call it website agility. It's a term that we use in our business. Is your website agile enough to work across all those devices? Now, there is a caveat to mobile first, and that all depends on data. We are very much what I would call a technically based online business, online agency. So what we do is we look at the technical aspects of your website, and we look at the technical aspects of marketing. Now, in some respects, we have some clients where 70% of their traffic comes from desktop. And this is a training company, and the training company that we do their online strategies for provides training to public sector. So the logic through that is that comes through is what I would call something that we think is important. So the logic is that most of the people that are their customers are public sector organizations. So what happens in public sector organizations? People usually use their desktop to find their products and services. So majority of their time that they spend at work is spent on desktop. So yes, we should live in a mobile first world, and you should have a mobile first strategy, but it should also be data driven. So it's important to look at your analytics and have your digital strategy based on metrics rather than hunches. It's really important that look at your data and then craft your strategy around data you're getting. As I said, our customer, 70% of their traffic comes from desktop, and the logic does follow through because most of the people in work on a regular basis are using desktops rather than mobile. Now, you can extrapolate that out, and there's an opposite side to that. Some of our customers that are in e-commerce, that completely flips because someone like my daughter will be buying stuff from Boohoo or ASOS or Amazon. She'll be using her mobile because her desktop is only used for doing work or schoolwork. So that kind of flips when you have a B2C kind of environment. B2B, in certain industries, we see quite often that desktop outperforms, or the traffic coming from desktop outperforms the traffic coming from mobile. So it has to be data driven. So another couple of tools that I want to talk to you about, and this is around SEO. So the first thing that we would do for doing an SEO analysis is that we would see whether or not your site is indexed within Google. It's quite easy to do, and you can all do it yourselves. So if you put in site : and then your domain name, it will tell you whether or not your site is indexed or the pages within Google are indexed. Now, for those people that are on WordPress, they're on WP, it's important that if you're moving from one site to another site, so you've had a new website done, it's important to make sure that you click a little button called follow, no follow, because WordPress default situation is that it is in a no follow mode. What that means is that Google cannot read your website. So it's important within WordPress to make sure that you have it as click to follow. So then the Google bots can crawl your website. The other thing that we use on a regular basis, and I would encourage you to go and do this after the webinar, is to set up Google Search Console and add your domain into Google Search Console. And what Search Console gives you is a wealth of information. It will tell you whether or not your site has been hacked. It'll give you information around that. It'll tell you if your site has malware on there. It will tell you if your site has broken links, if you have duplicate content, which is really important. And then you can go back to your agencies and say, like, look, there's some issues here. Can you fix them? Now, you don't need to understand what those things mean. Your agency or your web developer will tell you and fix them for you. Also, what's really important, really good tip here, is if you've built a new website, you've gone from one website to another, you can instruct Google to crawl your website, which means it's going to get indexed a lot quicker. So you can upload your sitemap, and this works really well is if you have a large website, so 500-600 pages, big website where you want the site to be indexed by Google. It's also a great thing if you're, let's say you're a PR agency and you're delivering content, or you've written a white paper, you can then instruct, and you've written a really good blog, you can then put that blog link into this console, and you can ask Google to index that page and crawl it. But over a period of time, Google will, so long as you've got a follow and you've what we call added in robots.txt to allow the robots from Google to crawl your website, over a period of time, it will index on a natural basis, but you can instruct it to do it. Please remember that Google will do it in their own time, but you can instruct it within Google Console. It's hugely important. So you can do these kind of exercises after the webinar. And if there is any questions, please do ask me around this. And if you've got some questions after the meeting, and you've had a look at things within Google, and it's not quite making sense, please do reach out to me, and we'll be able to answer those questions for you. Okay. So social media, as we know, social media has played a huge part in building brands, and I'm going to cover this off quite quickly. The big thing around social media is making sure that you have brand consistency. Going back to the slide that I talked about earlier about digital overwhelm, well, there's so many different platforms on there right now. I think it's important for businesses to really look at where their audiences reside, where their customers reside, and work those channels hard on a regular basis. And consistency is really, really important. We get asked quite a lot around social media. We're not social media agency. What we do is we do what I would call paid social media and data-driven social media. So looking at where people are coming from, where they're finding your brand, and how that's affecting some of your conversions on your website. There's some fantastic social media agencies in Birmingham, and I'm sure there's probably local to you, and they're the people that you need to speak around in terms of social media campaigns. What we would do is campaigns that are paid or that drive information that assist conversions. So in terms of social media, I've just quickly given you 3 screenshots there. Make sure that your branding is consistent across all social media platforms. So there you can see 2 of our social media platforms, which is Facebook and Twitter, and also you can see our website. And that tells me that actually there's brand consistency across those channels. And brand consistency really helps people become familiar with your message. Now, there's some great metrics that you can find within things like Facebook. Facebook have insights, and I would encourage you to look at those insights, because you can see where people are engaging with your posts, where they're coming from, the age demographic, etc., etc. So social media is really important. One other tip that I would encourage you to do, if you've got a paid campaign with Facebook give you a little widget that's called pixel code. What pixel code does, it sits on your website. So when people come to your website and then all of a sudden you go back into Facebook and you'll see an ad relating to something that you've searched for, that's because that company has added pixel code to their website. And what happens is those ads follow you around for typically 30-day cycle. It's all about retargeting, and it might be that you've got busy as a person that's buying a product. Someone's come onto the door, the phone's gone, and you've gone off. So pixel code retargets and re-puts your brand in front of people. It's a very easy thing to do. Your web developers can do it if you're doing some stuff around Facebook advertising, and it's a very, very powerful tool if used correctly and implemented correctly. But remember, it's all about data. It's important to understand what your data and analytics are saying, and cut your strategy according to that specific data. And last and no means least, we love looking at data. So it's important that you set up Google Analytics in the right way. There's so many organizations that we see and speak to on a regular basis, and their analytics haven't been set up in the right way. So the 3 things that you can track or set up in analytics is a thing called goals. And typically goals are, if you're a B2B business, what we call form fills. So form fill was someone comes to your website, they fill out a form. That's a goal, and that's a success metric. The second thing would be phone calls. So typically on a mobile responsive website, as you can see, sometimes you'll have a phone number in the corner. When you click on that phone number, what happens is Google records that as a goal. And the third thing is e-commerce sales. E-commerce sales obviously, if you're selling online, you're selling products, a goal would be a transaction or a sale. Now, there's this other thing called SMART goals that work very effectively with Google Ads. And SMART goals use machine learning to examine what I would call dozens and dozens of signals from your websites, and it adjusts things accordingly. Now, SMART goals can also be used to measure how long people stay on a page. So if you've written a really comprehensive white paper, a goal could be how long people have stayed on that page for that white paper to be read. And typically a lot of PR agencies that sometimes find it difficult to measure how effective some of their campaigns will have been. They might have done some stuff around TV, they might have done some articles for their clients. What you'll find is you'll find a real spike if that campaign is successful in your analytics. So particularly around PR articles, PR agencies that need to justify how well their campaigns are going, what's important is to come back to the metrics and understand and look at the metrics. So that particular white box that you see there is what I would call conversion attribution, or attributions, or the conversion funnel for clients. And I don't think you can see it, but what it does, each one of these that you can see here, the yellow, the blue, the yellow, the blue, it tells you the customer journey, what journey the customer has been on to complete a goal, whether that's a form fill, that's a sale, or a phone call. And this is hugely, hugely insightful, because you can then start investing in the areas that have worked. So it might tell you that someone's clicked on a Google AdWord or a Facebook ad, they've come in from Facebook, they've come in from an AdWord, they've had a look around your site, they've gone off, they've seen a YouTube video, they've read a blog, they've come back in, and then they've done a search for your brand and then made a conversion. So conversion attribution is hugely, hugely important. And I think one of the questions that we get asked is, which channel works the best? Nowadays, typically that you will find is it takes anyone between 7 and 14 interactions to make a sale. And this is hugely important for analyzing where people are coming from, what their journey is, and how they've made a sale. Few last things, and I think this is really important. Really now whilst we're in this particular time, and I call it oscillation. And these are two phrases that we use in our business. That brand is built with investment over time, and as we all know, ADA, which is attention, interest, desire, action, and it's so important right now to rent the space in people's minds. And what that means is people like McDonald's, Nike, the big brands, Coca-Cola, they rent the space in your mind from a very young age. Now is so hugely important to look at the intention and the interest. The intention and the interest is posting out really good content, because people, once we come out of this, will have the desire to work with you and take action. So remember that we need to be oscillating between the attention and the interest right now. So if you're not doing anything in your marketing, you're not doing anything, posting out social media posts, doing white papers, blogs, I would encourage you to do that, because you're educating people, and brand is built with investment over passage of time. Last but no means least, we're offering all chamber members a free fitness test. It'll look at your website, SEO, and analytics, and we'll do that free of charge to you. It'll analyze where you are right now and the gains that you can make. Thank you for listening. I know it's a new way of doing stuff, and I'll hand you back to Anjum if there's any questions.
Thank you, Qasim. So please do keep your questions coming through. The first question that we've had come through is, how is easy is it to add pixel code to WordPress website, Qasim?
If you'll need some technical competence, so I would advise you to speak to your web developer that can add it in your into your code of your website. So it is an easy job and it's quite quick to do. But if you're not technically competent, you don't know what to do and how to do it, then I would ask your web developer to do it. Or if you look on YouTube, there's lots of videos of how to do it. And if someone wants us to do it, we'll do it for you free of charge, not a problem.
Okay, thank you. So regarding the pixel code, is that something only a developer can do, or is it something that I myself could do?
Sorry, Anjum, that's yeah. So yeah, look, a developer will do it for you,
Yeah.
typically. But if you've got a little bit of technical knowledge, you should be able to do it yourself. And there's plenty of YouTube videos out there that'll show you how to do it.
Okay, thank you. So just a bit of feedback. It's been very informative, your presentation has. I have had somebody ask for your email address, just to let everyone know that today's presentation has been recorded, and we will send you a link across of the YouTube that it's going to be on. And if you do have any more questions, I will give my email address at the end of this webinar, and by all means please do contact me and I can pass that over to Qasim. We have a lovely member, which Qasim, I'm sure you will know, Major. He's offering you a discount code for a Philips shaver, by the way, so I know it's your new look, but you know, towards the end, if you do decide, just before we come out of lockdown, there is a discount. No, thank you, Qasim. Thank you everyone for joining us. Just so that you know, as the Greater Birmingham Chamber of Commerce, we are here to support all our members and businesses across the Greater Birmingham and Solihull area. So please do make contact with us if there's anything that we can support you on. We do have, you will see my email address now come up as well, and also on our website that we've got loads of information around the government support and support we're providing around coronavirus. Our upcoming events for next week are also listed. At the moment, they're all free for members and non-members too. Please do take my email address down, which is aid.con@birmingham-chamber.com, and do get in touch with us, and I will be in touch with you soon. A message from me as we just say goodbye, please keep safe.